welcome to another episode of The Not So Good Cook. And today we're going to be making Italian cookies, better known as biscotti.
For this recipe, we'll be using 5 eggs, a half cup of oil, where's our oil? Right here, and a half cup of butter, so just a stick of butter, or 8 tablespoons, 2 cups of sugar, 5 cups of flour, 3½ teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, right here, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla and mixture of anise, almond, and lemon. For our lemon, you can use lemon flavoring, lemon extract, but for ours, we're going to be using lemon peel.
Be sure that your eggs are at room temperature, so we've got them out. And then the sliced almonds and the powdered sugar will be later. We can ice these cookies and make them like a really nice soft cake texture, or we can choose to put them side to side and roast them or broil them underneath the oven and make them into your traditional biscotti. So I've already creamed my eggs and actually my oils and my sugars first of all, and got them really nice and creamy with my stand-up mixer. And now I'm just starting to add the oils to this good frothy mixture that I have. One by one, the eggs went in, and they're nice and beat up here. And now I'm adding the last of my oils. And our next step will be the flour. We're about ready now to add the flour dry ingredients here, but first of all I want to add to my 5 cups of flour, I'm going to add my 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and that's about 3/4. We're going to add 3½ teaspoons of this baking powder. And 1/2 teaspoon. And then I don't need to measure this. This is my a lemon peel because I didn't have any extract. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that in it. The balance between the anise, the vanilla, the almond, and the lemon really make for an interesting cookie. So I'm going to mix this all together and then start adding it to my wet ingredients. I've got about half of the dry ingredients in here right now. It's starting to thicken up enough that I want to add my liquid flavorings in so that they can mix in really well. So that's going to be the 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 2 teaspoons combined of those 3 flavorings, which was the anise, the almond, and the lemon. But remember, we already put the lemon in powdered form. So I'm going to go ahead and add almost a whole teaspoon of almond and almost a whole teaspoon of anise, which is your licorice flavoring for those of you who don't know. It's like licorice. Smell that. See, isn't that great? Okay. Now I'm going to mix this up again. Really good. It's definitely starting to get thicker, but this does need to be a hand workable dough. So we are going to finish adding. We probably have another 1.5 cups of flour left to add, and we're going to do that real soon here. So,
all right. So now our dough should be nice and workable, almost like a pizza dough. See this here? And now it should be turning to a nice consistency. It should not be sticky pretty much at all. You might get a little bit of residue on your fingers there, but now it should be tasting like biscotti. All right, so now you should get a nice sheet pan and line it with some parchment paper for this video, we're using grid parchment paper just so you can get a decently even distribution of your biscottis. And we're preheating our oven to what, 350?
350.
350? And then we'll cook for how long?
You know something, I always look and see how brown it's going to get. I don't even have a time on it, but it seems like it's like 15 minutes. I'll maybe give you a better answer when we're done.
So this is what it should look like once you're done rolling it. And then we'll show you how you can do this nice and even.
Okay, this is really a nice workable. Most of your recipes will say to roll it into a tube, which I can do just with my hands right here. Sometimes if the dough is a little bit too soft, I'll just spoon it on my surface, cooking surface here, and kind of work it into the form that I know it's supposed to be. And we're going to flatten it a little bit. When it cooks, it's going to flatten out. But the deal is you want to make sure that they're uniform. And I will tell you right now that these ends right here are probably my favorite end. Part of it, they call them the butt ends, and you can usually buy them in a store or in a bakery for pretty cheap. But they're my favorite because they end up being crispier than the rest of the cookie. So in our family, we fight over who gets to have the butt ends. So, okay, I've got enough dough to make a third one, and I believe that your recipes will say that you can get 3 tubes out of this. But this one is ready to go into the oven as soon as it reaches its 350 mark.
All right, so now we're going to be putting in our biscottis now that our oven is up to temperature. Right in here. Just like that. And then we'll wait until they're golden brown and crispy around the edges.
Right. While the biscottis are cooking, I'm going to mix up just a little bit of icing to put on the top of them, and sliced almonds. That will be our finish for the cake-like soft cookies. These just got a little bit of soft butter in there, and some of our powdered sugar. Oops, probably more than I needed.
Then just a small amount of half and half.
Yeah, at the end we may need to add a little half and half, and I like to add, just to make it interesting, I add a little bit of the almond and anise combination also.
So both of the flavorings that we used for our biscotti batter.
So we'll whip this up real fast so it'll be ready when the biscottis come out, because we're going to want to put this on the biscottis while they're still warm and before we slice them, because they're going to be sliced, and that's going to be a fun part, slicing up the biscottis. It's pretty well done here, about the consistency that we want. Just added a little more of the half and half than I thought I would, because I had more of powdered sugar. Most of the time I cook without any recipes, just a drop or two of the anise and a drop or two of the almond. Otherwise it's too overwhelming in the flavor. Just a side note here, my recipe, this is probably about 50 years old, and it was my original. Dirty. It's ripped because I've used it so much. By the way, these biscottis, they're so easy to make actually, and quick. And if you're going to go to a potluck or a dinner where you have to bring a dessert, it's a really good and fast one to make.
Quick intermission here. Let's see who wins the Uno game.
Back. Okay, well, he won the Uno game. We just took the cookies out. They're just a golden light brown. The only thing I would have done differently, well, I'll tell you that when we get to the cookie part, okay? Okay, these just came out of the oven, and as you can see, they're just a golden brown. The bottoms are not too brown. And we're gonna do each one of these a different way. And the first ones that we'll do here are, we'll make these our cake ones. I'm taking my frosting, and right away I'm gonna go ahead and ice it while it's still nice and warm. And then you want to take those sliced almonds, and start sprinkling them on the top.
You good?
Yeah, put a little few more here. And you want to sprinkle those sliced almonds on there right away so that they stick to the icing. Okay, that looks good. Now, this is going to be our nice ones, soft cookies. These are going to be our harder biscottis, but we're going to treat them the very same way in the way we slice them. I find this to be a really handy thing, and we're just going to slice slanted.
Almost at a 25-degree angle that way.
What would you call that, about an inch? About an inch.
Yeah, about an inch apart.
Okay, there's our butt ends. In fact, Grandpa's going to want one of those right away. So if you want to take one to Grandpa, he'll tell you if they're any good or not. We're going to slice the ones that we're going to put into the oven. We're going to slice those a little bit longer so that we get the traditional long biscotti. Ooh, is that too hot for you? You see how those are a little longer there? Ta-da! There we go.
Are they good?
Now, these are ready to eat, and they can be plated beautifully when you're taking them somewhere. You can plate those beautifully. These, we are going to have to wait for our oven to be finished. We've got a second batch of biscotti cookies going in the oven right now. When they're done, we're going to be taking these and we're going to be setting them up like this.
Grandpa says they're good.
Well, of course they're good. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the not so good cook show, isn't it? I was out of place. These, a second roll of biscottis are going to be set up on edge like this, and they're going to be put under the broiler. The butt ends will save, but and then as they brown, then we'll take them out, flip them over to the other side, and broil the other side, and that'll give you your traditional. You can frost them if you want to, but it makes a mess when you're doing the broiling.
So we ended up cooking them for about, what was it? 27-ish minutes that we cooked these. But just be careful, be watching them a lot, and you want to make sure that they're not too golden on the top, but you want to be, don't really look at the top. They should be a little bit cracked. That's when you'll know that they're cooked through. And they should be nice and golden brown on the bottom. The tail ends will be a little darker just because they're more crispy on the edges. So, alright, so now we're gonna get our royal traditional biscottis. We're gonna put them in the oven, broil on low.
You could put it on high if you want a fast job, but we'll crisp them up this way. A low will take a little longer to brown the tops. And you might have noticed that I have my rack down here. Could bring the rack up a little bit higher too. But let's start off like this and see how long it takes.
Alright, so now that our biscottis are broiled and done, it should look like this.
You
Nice
gotta flip them over to
and
the
brown.
other side.
Now we're gonna flip them. So those biscottis for broiled, they took about 2 minutes-ish. And now now that they're flipped, I'm gonna put them back in and I'm gonna wait another 2 minutes-ish. Maybe a little less just because they have a little bit of color on the bottoms, but we'll wait for about 2 minutes for those to be done and then we'll see how they are. So now our biscottis are done on both sides and we'll see how they are. They should be cooked all the way through now and much more crispy and airy than they were before. Alright, so thank you for watching episode 4 of the Not So Good Cook on our episode of how to make the best homemade biscottis. quick, easy, efficient. Like you said, very easy if you're going to a potluck or a dinner where you have to bring a dessert.
Oh yeah, and you get so many of them.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.